Okay, so let's talk about the role of the developer in Agile. So there's been some amazing progress around automation, and in the last 10 years there hasn't been a lot of new things about Agile, but one of them has been acceptance test-driven development, also known as behavior-driven development. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through an example here where we have acceptance criteria for a story card. So in this case, we have a story card where we want to adjust the search radius. And so we've written the story card in a typical story card format. As a customer, I want to adjust the search radius, so I increase or decrease the number of search results. Okay. The acceptance criteria is I want to restrict the customer to selecting 10, 20, 30, 40 mile radius out, right? If no customers are within that radius, I want to show a message saying I couldn't find any agents or any search results within that criteria. And if there's more than 15 data elements coming back, I want to show all the agents in the radius. And then you can see the mock-up too. So this would be an example of writing acceptance criteria for a story card in a pure physical form. Okay, and we're referring to the low fidelity prototypes that we mocked up to kind of represent the behavior that we want to do. So that's why it's called behavior-driven development, because I do this action and I expect this behavior to happen. Okay, so that's in kind of the written form. However, we can automate that, and that's what's really cool, and this is one of the most game-changing practices in Agile. If you are doing offshore development or doing any kind of distributed development, actually automating your specifications, your requirements, it makes it so that whenever we actually write the code, we have to run it against those requirements and make sure it passed. Take a second and watch a video that actually illustrates this.
Acceptance test-driven development is a practice that we started off thinking it was all about testing. Part of the goal initially was to try to move testing further up in the process so that we can discover defects sooner. But as we started doing this with a lot of teams, we really discovered that the main benefit from this is the collaboration that we get out of this. And that collaboration starts when the product owner starts to write their requirements using Gherkin or using a format that we drive into our acceptance tests. A little bit later, the developer and the tester collaborate with that product owner to make sure that those requirements or those acceptance tests are complete, thorough, and accurate and focused. And the product owner continues to work with the team to make sure that we get the words right, that things are at such a high level that they're really descriptive for the team. What we found is also, while the tester automates those acceptance tests, they have to work with the developer to understand how the application is being developed. Developers really learn what it means to build testable applications as a result. They learn that, you know, if I place an ID on this web element, it becomes far easier for a tester to identify that as they're driving their application through. Another benefit of acceptance test-driven development is that we do end up with a document that sort of describes the behavior of the system. We end up obviously with a story card defined at the top of our feature. As a person, I want to get some value so that, you know, some description around that. But the other thing that we coach teams to do is to make sure that we detail out the specification there as well. For example, if there are some specific rules that need to be applied or any sort of information that we think is useful to carry on as part of our living documentation, we add that into the feature files. Acceptance test-driven development really drives collaboration. What we've also found is that it helps us discover defects while we're still building the software that we typically would discover much later, so there's also some streamlining or savings from that perspective as well. And last but not least, we create a set of examples that demonstrate how the product will be used. Those are typically at a fairly high level using the terms of the business. So part of the secret to getting this right is being pragmatic about what we do test and how we test it.